Futurama returns. Bender says he's back, and the crew arrives home, wondering where everyone is. Bender pretends to forget Farnsworth's name. After some waste of time meta humor, Leela says they've been invited to a Q&A panel at the big delivery and shipping convention, and they want them to show their favorite clips. Then Farnsworth's told at a meeting that the Box network is fed up with the comments from his clients, so he's being kicked off the network delivery schedule. So we have to assume that there's a lot of clients that didn't get their delivery off screen, because as far as I can remember, they always delivered stuff just fine. Farnsworth sits on a park bench and says he can't help it if so many of his deliveries have been at 7 o'clock when no one's home, or watching football. Am I supposed to assume that the deliveries got stolen off the person's welcome mat? Farnsworth sees Peter Griffin coming out of Cartoon Network's building. Cartoon Network, and gets more optimistic. This must be a weird alternate version of Peter Griffin and Family Guy, where it's actually kid-friendly enough to be on Cartoon Network. But without explaining that, it's just another thing that's confusing about the story. Leela then says her ship was snagged on a cable operated by the Cartoon Network that's pulling them into a vortex. The computer and even her wrist thingy are acting weird, and the crew's been sent back in time 5 years. Gee, too bad there was a vortex there for no reason that does that to them. Leela says they have to do everything they did exactly as they did the same way. That's impossible. They'd want to avoid repeating the same mistakes out of selfishness, and they wouldn't remember everything they did. And it turns out they're all conscious while the cable is somehow making them relive all of their deliveries over and over again, like reruns. This is so off-putting. Sometimes it's trying to make sense in universe, but it just barely works every time. But this? How are they having this whole conversation in the span of such a long time period where they're going from one mission to the next? Every panel's from a different episode. How could I find this fun because of nostalgia baiting when it's not making sense? Scruffy's the only one at the convention, and our time is wasted by the audience at the convention mimicking fans of Futurama. It was amusing that Scruffy considered selling hidden camera tapes of his friends, but I'd expect that from Bender. Why is no member of the main cast of Futurama an actually likable good person? Then Bender asks a fortune teller robot why he's turning into a werecar like an episode of the show had him do. Leela gets sick of this and wants to learn about their future, so she tells them about the movie with Yivo in it, wasting a bunch of my time with pointless crap. Somehow she can't see what the 4th movie's gonna be like. Somehow the fans of the crew at the convention were able to bring the crew back simply by buying Scruffy's DVDs of them that magically burst a wall through the dimension they were trapped in. I really hate meta logic. It really would have made more sense if it was a magic spell. That could be how they're supposed to break the magic spell. I especially hate that the narration just glosses over the characters answering questions about inconsistencies in the past episodes. I'd rather actually get good answers to good questions. Making the show make more sense would obviously be a better idea than giving a quote-unquote new story that doesn't make sense. That story was so annoying. It was always obvious what the meta jokes were, and I noticed them before what it was trying to be in universe. At first it made sense, but how is there a universe of reruns? The crew would have to be literally forced into doing everything the same way, but eventually Leela gives up on that at the fortune tellers. Was this just an excuse to advertise the movies? They would have been advertised anyways, and much better somewhere else. I didn't know this comic existed until long after the series was cancelled for real. So why bother advertising in a comic that got no advertisement? Why bother releasing the comic to celebrate the show going back on air, if most people aren't going to know about the comic? It made no sense that somehow people at the delivery convention were able to free them from the vortex, but at least it made Scruffy useful. But how were the episodes supposed to be properly recreated without Scruffy in them? I know he's a very minor character, but still, it wouldn't be an exact recreation without him. They really didn't need to release this issue just to brag about the fact that they got back on the air, when a lot of shows don't. I'd rather have an original and interesting plot, not a story that's bare bones and nothing but meaningless nostalgia.